All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by BuffaloPlus.com. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. An important day, NFL roster cutdown day. The Bills have sent out the players that they've released. Mike Catalana, your impressions.
Well, you guys hear me say a lot of things over and over again, so I'm going to say another one here. They're at the 53-man mark. It is not the final 53. And this year, maybe more than any other year, because, man, what they have given a smart general manager, and I believe the Bills have one in Brandon Beane, is more flexibility in this roster. Using veterans on a practice squad, sending guys to the injured list, and then bringing them back after 3 weeks. Like, there's a lot out there for them. So normally what happens is you cut to 53, and then they start looking at other rosters. And I still think they're going to be doing that. But I think it's more about how you bring back your own players and create more of a 68, 69-man roster than it is just the 53.
Dan, what do you make?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic because I think there are still pieces to be moved. And I think that's what Mike's snarky yet accurate tweets earlier today of like, guys, this isn't the final 53. This is the current 53. I think is so accurate because I still think there are moves to be made. I still think there's an upgrade to be made at third running back. I still think there's an upgrade to be made at linebacker. I still think there's an upgrade to be made on the offensive line possibly because they still don't seem to have that completely figured out. So I think what Mike says is best is that everybody gets so situated on this is the final 53-man roster. This is what it is. They're all set. And it's like, there's still going to be a lot of moves happening in the next 48 hours.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And like, Mike, what you said, the fact that there's 16 players now on the practice squad this year, the fact that there's, an additional 6 guys, and those veterans, they don't have to clear waivers. They can just be placed on the practice squad. I mean, you talk about Brandon Beane and his ability to kind of move around guys. Are there any players in particular right now you can think of that the Bills would try and do that with?
Well, I mean, there's a slew of players I think they're going to try to bring back on the practice squad. We've already seen reports, guys like Dean Marlowe and Andre Roberts may be coming back. I don't know about the quarterback situation, right? I mean, the reality is none of us know. Nobody who's even standing on the sidelines for every moment of every practice really knows what the coaches think about Jake Fromm. They may love him, right? We haven't seen him in a game situation. We aren't in the classroom with them. You see some passes. You see him trying to work around that. But, how much do they say Jake's on this team? So they cut Davis Webb. I think they probably believe that if you cut Jake Fromm, there's a very good chance somebody, because he was a draft pick and he's a well-known player coming out of Georgia, somebody might pick him up. So my mind starts to go, okay, if there's even a consideration to bring Davis Webb back on the practice squad, are you keeping 4 quarterbacks? You could be. You could be keeping 2 that are active, a third guy that's inactive for game day and Fromm, and then another guy on the practice squad. But my mind just goes to, it does leave them options. If Webb clears waivers, you bring him back on the practice squad. Now you have a legitimate third quarterback if you needed to use one.
Yeah, and this was something too that I've been a TJ Yeldon stand account for a while. Like, they're not going to take a running back, a veteran running back, because they're keeping TJ Yeldon for now. But with Adrian Peterson and a bunch of other guys that have popped up, I'm a big Adrian Peterson fan.
Oh, you want Adrian Peterson on this team?
Yeah,
I do.
You miss Frank Gore.
Yep.
You miss Frank Gore.
Yep, absolutely. I wish Frank Gore could come back. I wish Frank, in all honesty. But I think that they can find more production out of a third running back position, especially if, let's be real, Devin Singletary isn't an Iron Man, and Zach Moss has missed time before. So I think if something were to happen to Zach Moss or Devin Singletary, for the fact that TJ Yeldon would be the backup just is kind of concerning to me with how deep that this offense can go, especially that they're going to go 7 deep at wide receivers. They really seem to embrace this. A lot of people are saying today that they're embracing this more spread offense type without, Pat DeMarco, and are they going to go 4 wide more? So it's a little bit surprising to me that I think that you could find something better on the open market than TJ Yeldon right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Also,
I miss Frank Gore. Yeah, I do.
Of course you do. You miss that presence. No, I do think like even going back to last year, like Bean talking about we have so much confidence in TJ Yeldon. I just think of his fumbles and the ball security issues that he's had. So I can see them trying to make an upgrade. And like you said, there's Adrian Peterson, the Patriots releasing Lamar Miller. There's guys out there now. So I would not be shocked if they made a move with something like that. But I don't want to say kind of surprised to see Isaiah McKenzie making the team, Robert Foster being cut. Duke Williams, Mike.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you safe?
I'm, Dan's the one who broke that story today, said that Duke was released.
Yeah.
Duke is an intense guy. I got to tell you, I think he might have shown enough flashes when he played last year that somebody could claim him.
I agree.
I don't think there's any guarantee that he's coming back. I think Duke is, he's not a veteran guy in this league. He's a little bit older. I don't know. You don't know what other teams see, what they think, but I think there's the possibility. And then the question is, are the Bills bringing him back? I mean, they did, they have a couple of right now young guys on the 53, and Duke is a little older than those guys. I wasn't surprised with him. Isaiah McKenzie, I just think is a unique guy for them. Yep. They love him in the offense. They love the jet sweeps. And, we're saying about Andre Roberts, I don't know if he's going to be on the practice squad. I mean, that can happen. Is Isaiah McKenzie going to be running back kicks for you?
I think so.
Point, right? So versatility is going to be a key. And I think, and by the way, we love Isaiah McKenzie too.
Yeah,
we love his pregame meals, right, Jenna? He's
Chick-fil-A. He eats a Snickers bar before he goes to bed.
Diet Coke.
Breakfast there it is.
Diet Coke. It's an elite athlete diet.
It was, when a lot of people, I think some people were surprised that Duke Williams got cut, and it was just simply a numbers game. And I know people talk about it's a business. Duke Williams was probably the 4th to 5th best wide receiver last year on a wide receiving core that was average. They added Stephon Diggs. They drafted Gabriel Davis. They drafted Isaiah Hodgins. The writing was on the wall that Brandon Beane and them weren't thrilled that Duke Williams was going to be it. And watching practice and watching guys go through during training camps, going through their footwork drills and their separation drills, like I hope Duke doesn't watch this, but like his footwork and speed was noticeably slower than everybody else's. And that's not just my opinion. That's stuff that I've talked about with other reporters that were covering the team. He just was slower than the rest of the guys. So it wasn't a huge surprise to me that he got cut, which is one of the reasons why I tried to dig up where he would be. I was a little bit surprised by Andre Roberts just because he was a Pro Bowl returner. They did seem to like him with what he could bring on special teams. So obviously a lot of that falls in on Isaiah McKenzie, Mike, like what you said. He does bring a couple of different niches to this offense and to this team that are important.
And Andre Roberts, Jen, I was going to say, Andre Roberts, I talk about guys who could get claimed. He could get claimed or brought in by another team too, who guarantees him a regular 53-man roster spot. Like, we don't pretend to know what the circumstances are on all 31 other teams, but there could be somebody sitting there going, we don't know about returning. Like, it's a problem. Like, I don't want to put the rookie back there, and they bring him in. But that's still left to be seen.
Yeah. Trent Murphy not being cut.
I think Trent Murphy is a good enough player to be on this roster and contribute. I just thought it was the contract thing. And I don't think it's a guarantee. And look, there are teams going to be out there looking for an edge rusher, defensive lineman, and that to me is the type of player the Bills could maybe work some sort of a deal, get some sort of compensation for if they decide to do that. Makes sense in that case. They don't need to do it now, but I was a little surprised. Again, he's on the temporary 53-man roster.
Is this the busiest time of the season, do you think, for Brandon Beane? Just because I know with the draft, you're kind of focused on yourself and you're trying to pick pieces and know where else is. But now, like, there are so many players that are available, and that, like, we talk about, like, we're just focused on the Bills. He's got to be focused on 32 teams, including his own. Like you said, is there somebody better than Trent Murphy that's cheaper that now just became available, and is he in a bidding war with another team? Like, right, like this has got to be Beane's.
So, right, you think about it. Okay, so what did teams cut? Somewhere in 20 some odd players are out. Even if between injured list and other lists that they're on, even if it's 20 players per team that are available in some form you're talking about 600 and some players that are out there. Plus, trying to determine, are you bringing your own guy back? Is there somebody out there better for your practice squad? Is this the time to steal a player? And I heard a general manager talking today. Is like, we made this move on Thursday or Wednesday. They made some moves early with some surprises because it's a little harder for somebody to pick that player up when they still have to make their own cuts. So they try to make those moves, maybe try to get the guy back in the fold quicker because they have to clear waivers. So to Dan's point, absolutely. I can't imagine there's any time busier than right now. It's sort of like a big version of the moment after the draft ends. And they're all trying to sign undrafted free agents because it's a bit of a free-for-all. In this case, with some players, it's 24 hours. With other players, they're available right now because they don't go through waivers.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be like, just going through that. And like now going into also after this, it's like, okay, scouting for the upcoming season. How do you go through that, especially in the time of COVID?
And right. Well, that was the other part I was going to say. And keeping in mind, it used to be the guy gets cut, like he could be in your building the next day.
Now you have to
you got waiting time, bringing him in, getting him acclimated. I mean, it's definitely pushing things back another week.
Yeah, definitely. I will say I was sad. I was not surprised, but I was sad Christian Wade was cut, mostly because of his amazing accent.
Yeah, but that's no problem. I mean, he got cut last year. You bring him back on the practice squad. I don't think there was any doubt he wasn't going to be on the 53-man roster.
No.
So he has to be cut in order to get put on the practice squad.
And that was the other thing last year was, everybody was so upset that Duke Williams didn't make the 53-man roster initially. And then 31 other teams passed on him. And then he went back to the Bills practice squad. And people were like, I can't believe it that the Bills cut him. It's like 31 other teams passed on him. Like, for Duke Williams to land back on the Bills practice squad, like, again.
It happens a lot with wide receivers and running backs. And it's normally because they flash in the preseason and everybody gets excited. And they think,
Mike,
what team's Brandon Riley on?
Yeah. Mike, I was curious for you. I know in other leagues, like if a player clears waivers, it's kind of like an unwritten rule that you kind of let them or they get put on waivers. You kind of let them clear. You've been covering the league for a long time. Is that similar in the NFL that like if the Bills release Duke Williams, it's just kind of a courtesy that the Bills, Brandon Beane may say like, hey, we want to bring him back on our practice squad. Nobody else touch him. Does that happen in the NFL?
Well, no, I don't think at all. No, I would say you have to. That's the risk, right?
Yeah.
I think there are certain players. That's why I said I think they waited, and I use the example of the quarterbacks, and this could be totally wrong. They could love Jake Fromm, and he's going to be their third guy, and that'll be it. But I do believe in their mind they're thinking, who could get claimed? Believe me, if that guy's on the waiver wire, and somebody wants him, they're grabbing him. They are going to take them.
Because it almost seems like an NHL, like before a player could get traded or the MLB, they need to clear waivers first. It's almost like there's a trade in place.
That's that's more procedural in the NHL. In this case, that player is out there. That player is out there and can be taken. And I don't know if we explained it enough, but I think it's 4-year veterans, 3-year or 4-year veterans. They don't have to clear waivers. So when they're cut, they could go tomorrow and sign with somebody else. So interesting the way teams will manipulate this roster. But I'm telling you, the smart ones are thinking, and let's just make it a round number. They're thinking about their 70-man roster right now. And they'll make the pieces fit. And they'll have more flexibility. There's even guys on that practice squad that they can protect that no one can grab. It's a very different year. And I think the smart ones, and I think Beane is, the smart ones are going to take advantage of it.
Well, I feel like Beane even last year and years before tried to operate as the practice squad was just an extension of the roster. It wasn't 53, it was 63. And now this year it's, like you said, about 70, 71. Yeah. I will say in this year too, the fact that you can put a guy on the practice squad and have him called up twice without putting him out on waivers. So that part of it is a little bit different too. And IR is obviously a little bit different. It's now 3 weeks. So it's a shorter period of time. So there's a lot of changes with COVID that are definitely affect just the flexibility of the roster and what it means for the team. So they're put in place for COVID. But I'm curious.
What teams are going to use it? whatever way they can. And every team's got the opportunity to do that. So I think from now, according to this, I think it's an interesting 53. But again, we think bigger picture, all these guys are available and all these guys could be contributing during the year after they bring them back on the practice squad.
Definitely. All right. We'll have, of course, more updates on Buffalo Plus. Make sure to check out buffaloplus.com. We also have a podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It's called Buffalo Plus. And then we also have a special show every Thursday now that it's basically, I mean, it's regular season football time. So Mike, why don't you explain what Let's Talk Football Live is?
Let's Talk Football Live is an interactive show. We want your comments. We read them during the live show. It's on, well, this first show and a couple of our shows will be on television on Fox Rochester, but beyond that, we'll be on our Facebook channel. It'll also be on Twitter Live, hopefully on YouTube Live at the same time. So you'll be able to interact with us. It's more of us in a conversation with you, the fans and the viewers, than it is, you know, just like Jenna giving her opinion the whole time. You know what I'm talking about. And Dan and I sit back quietly and don't say a lot.
The loudest anyways, so let's be real. It's usually you.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Pontificating. No, and it'll be on, so Let's Talk Football Live will be on our 13 Wham Facebook page, so you can check that out every Thursday.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
All right, perfect. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate you watching. We'll be back for next time.